Not sure if many of you know, but we do have a virtual tier within the Design Coven, virtual pro member tier, which includes 3 virtual meetings a month where we set intentions. We do group coaching. So bring all your questions. We answer those questions and you get to learn from other people going through the same struggles as you. We also do a business practice meeting. So we'll have somebody on to share a business practice that we can all benefit from. And then we also do a product training. So getting a sustainable, eco-friendly line to come on, share who they are so that we can be supported with other like-minded businesses. And if you're not quite ready for pro, you can always join our free community where you will connect with other like-minded holistic interior designers. You don't have to be an interior designer if you are kind of just dabbling or you're aspiring or you're looking into this field. We invite everybody from all journeys, and you don't, again, have to be a designer. You don't have to have a degree. We're just a beautiful community of like-minded people looking to create healing spaces, not just for ourselves, but for our clients and future clients. Come join us at designcoven.com/join. Hello. Today is a recording of a past interior design panel that we do within the Design Coven, which is our mentorship program for new and aspiring interior designers. We have some really fun and inspiring designers coming on today, sharing their practices, their experience, failures, and of course, successes, so that we can all learn from them. And we also have our interior design members with us, so they get to ask all of their questions here with designers. This will give you a peek into what we do on the Design Coven mentorship group. We do meet at least once a week. At the beginning of the month, we connect to do a little bit of group coaching, check in, see where everybody's at, and then we do a interior design panel, which is what you're hearing here, or we'll do a workshop with another leader in the design business or just business in general. We'll have a workshop at the beginning of the month, and then we also learn from people in the field. Product trainings happen, and then we also visit showrooms here in San Diego in person, along with studio tours. We just had a tour of Basil Studio last month, which was really, really fun. And there's 3 tiers. So you can join at the beginning tier, which is the air tier, which is all virtual. So you don't have to be in San Diego. You get in on the virtual events. We do have an in-person tier, which is here in San Diego. And then the last tier is the one-on-one mentorship tier, where you get to have an hour of mentorship with me personally to take a look at your design business and help you kind of get through those obstacles and, really talk about business with your design. A lot of the members have used that time to discover what exact services they're going to offer, how they're going to price things. They have me take a look at the website. So there's a multitude of things that you could do with that mentorship hour. And then you also have access to me if you want to purchase additional hours as you set up your business or as you start. So just really, really fun stuff and empowering stuff. That's probably one of my favorite things to do is to connect with new designers. So enjoy this panel with our designers, and I'd love to hear from you and let me know your thoughts on today's episode. You're listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. This is a podcast that guides you as a new or inspiring independent interior designer navigating your entrepreneurial path. Here, with my over 20 years experience, I will share my holistic approach to design with intention and ancient practices, including feng shui, all incorporating mind, body, and spirit into my design projects. You will also learn from seasoned interior designers as they give strategies and insight of how they built their businesses and continue to work in the field. Together, we will discover supportive trade partners, new ideas, creatives, and inspiring artists from around the world. I am your host, Rachel Larraine Crawford. All righty, welcome to our September interior design panel. We are here with Esteban Interiors. We've got Kelly with Studio H, and Michelle with Surface Studio. And and they're all together, which is so cool. Usually we have you guys like totally separated, but you guys are friends. And thank you, Esteban, for connecting everybody together. It's just amazing because I feel like in the design world, especially when I started, like everybody was so separate and so secretive and nobody shared anything. And I feel like you guys have a great relationship with being able to connect together to share all these struggles. And that's what I'm wanting to create with this mentorship group as they grow into their businesses and just being able to support each other. And also, I'm just about sharing my resources, connecting people with the showrooms that I love, just to kind of build this community so that we can all rise together and support each other. And I'm all about, collaboration over competition. So I just really, really am so grateful for you to come together and to share your wisdom with us, because you guys are like at the top, right? And we all look up to you guys. So thank you for coming on. Maybe we'll start with you, Esteban. Let us know a little bit about who you are, maybe like where your studio is and your ideal client and projects.
So we are a boutique high-end interior design firm. I started out having a design studio in Little Italy for several years, and then migrated to La Jolla and was in La Jolla for 11 years. And then pre-pandemic, just a fluke, I decided to buy a big house and move everyone into my house, which kind of scared me a little bit, but I was just like, whatever. I'll just, learn as I go. And everything's been great. We've been there 4 years now. We're going on 5 years. We're just starting a new big studio renovation that is going to be really cool. And that's kind of where we are.
Amazing. Thank you. And Kelly?
My name is Kelly Ginsman, and I'm the founder of Studio H Design Group. And we just launched a new company, Studio H Collection, that I'm really excited about. And we just moved to our Little Italy location. This is our showroom space and studio, so you might see some deliveries and phones ringing. So sorry about that. But we moved here just a few months ago. We were in the gas lamp before, but I've been in the business. I've owned this company for about 10 years, and I've just been in the industry for 15 years. Our projects are high-end residential and multifamily. The three of us share a lot of the same type of clients. So you can see that there's no competition. We help each other. And I believe full-heartedly that what you're saying, Rachel, that a rising tide lifts all boats. So I like that philosophy with our community. So our projects are in San Diego and then all across the country. We're lucky to have clients in other areas from East Coast to West Coast.
Thank you. Michelle?
My name is Michelle Solsmith, and I am the founder and owner of Studio Surface. We are located in Del Mar. I've had my company for about 13 years now. I've been in the industry for about 20. Like these two, we specialize in high-end residential projects, some multifamily and commercial projects, primarily in San Diego, though throughout the West Coast.
And Michelle met me when I was in Little Italy.
I've been in California for 15 years. I'm originally from the Midwest, and then spent a brief stint in Dallas. And Esteban, I guess, one of the first people I met in the design industry when I came out here.
And Kelly used to live in November.
Well, we're how we met. Michelle, or Melissa from David Sutherland. Oh, that's right.
We were set up.
Yeah.
They're like, you cuss like a sailor, you cuss like a sailor. It'll be great fun.
Yes. We will travel together as well. Chloe and I went to Paris together for a design show, Maison J. We all went to Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a hard one.
Sure. And we always run into each other at like art events and magazine parties and all those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, super rad. So I would love to know what has been your biggest struggle navigating your own business? Like, has there been something that really jumped out at you when you first sort of launched out on your own?
For me, it was all of the legality of interior design and being someone's home and insurance, and it was just like really scary. Like, I don't want to get sued, that kind of thing. And so to start off in a negative.
No, we want to know this stuff.
It's really scary. And then just going about like how to start a corporation, like what that looks like and what that scales like. Yeah, that was really scary.
Yeah. So Esteban, did you hire someone to set all that up for you, or were you navigating that world on your own?
I did it honestly. It was pretty scary. But
Yeah.
then, as you grow, you make a little bit more money, and then you start also figuring things out, like hiring people that could do it for you. So,
yeah, for sure. Kelly, what about you? Was there anything that
I think that if I knew what it all takes when I started, I would have been, we would have rethought it. But I mean, I'm so fortunate. I love everything about my job. But it's I think just starting slow. And I first had so 12 years ago, I had a business partner who's 30 years older than I was. And so we started a business. I joined her. She was retiring. I was starting my catapulting into my career. And so I learned how to set up a business and do the infrastructure and set up the corporation and then do the QuickBooks. So I think it's really good to know how to do everything. And then our term ended 2 years and she retired. And then I started Studio H Design Group. And then from that, I already knew how to do, it was like I had training wheels the first time. So now I knew how to set everything up again. But I was, doing QuickBooks and did legal Zoom to file my accounting and had just a bookkeeper that I found online. And then we just set up Studio H Collection, which is now knowing what it takes to put in another company. It was just a whole great feat to do that, just with getting more of the legalities and the lawyers and all the more details of the accounting and everything. But I think that sure there's a lot of challenges along the way, but I think that if you just have your kind of keeping your blinders on and just do one thing at a time, I think the better is not knowing everything it takes at first.
Yeah, I think sometimes if we know or if we see everything, that could be like super daunting and really overwhelming. And then it's like, okay, we're going to go back into our shell. But if you don't see it, you kind of just go into that darkness and jump for it. What about you?
A lot of research, right, in the beginning, and it is overwhelming. I think one of the things I realized starting my own company, it's very easy to criticize the previous firms and the principals. Not that they weren't fantastic, but it's very easy to say, well, I would do this, I'll do that. Until you're in a situation, it's like, I get it, right? Because I would say 90% of what we do is not even the creative effort sometimes of design. It is the business side. And, I learned along the way, like Esteban mentioned, when you hire the experts in those fields, then you can get back more to why you started the business in the first place, which is the design. But the first few years, I would say a lot of time is monopolized by getting the business set up, being more confident and comfortable with contracts and billing and knowing how much to bill your clients or how to bill your clients. Those are the things that were most daunting for me at the beginning. But I think, with experience, you get more confident, leaning on folks that are experts in their industries, whether it's bookkeeping, accounting, law. Again, it allows you to focus back on why you started in the first place. And sometimes that gets lost along the way. So,
yeah. So speaking of that, Michelle, what made you go off on your own? Like, was there something that happened that made you jump, or did you always have the intention of having your own business?
No, I mean, when I was a student in design school, you always, you come up with your own logo for your boards, and you fantasize about having a company. But as I got into the industry, that wasn't really a pressing goal of mine. I worked for a really fantastic design firm out of Dallas. And after a couple of years of working with them, they promoted me to senior designer and moved me to the West Coast. That's how I got out to San Diego, was to open and operate an office for them out here. And I did that for a couple of years. And of course, the recession hit, I guess it was about 2008, 2009, and they started closing down their satellite offices. And I started working from home for this company. And then eventually just that kind of phased out. And had that not happened, at the time, had that not happened, I probably would have been okay and happy with moving up in that company. I never seriously considered starting my own company, at least at that point. Then I kind of was forced to do so. You know, folks weren't really hiring back then. The ones that were, I wasn't interested in the type of work. So I thought, you know, I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm glad I did. You know, the first couple of years were really rough. But after that, I was like, I don't know why I didn't think of doing this before. And now having worked for myself, I don't know that I could work for someone else again.
Yeah.
I think I probably interviewed with like 30 companies and no one would hire me.
Yeah.
I was like sad. No one would hire me. And basically they would tell me that I have too much experience, I'm overqualified. So then, and then one recruiter said, I think that you're probably not approachable because they view you as not trainable because of the breadth of work that you already done getting here, and plus you're from New York, so there's that.
They can't pay you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I just decided I'm just going to start my own company.
And Esteban, when you decided to start your own company, was James with he was with another company, right? And how did all of that come together with your partner?
I gave him money.
And so, but he's what can you tell like what his role is with you, since you guys are so
he's also a principal in the firm, but he's more on the financial side. So he was all of the financial and legal aspects of everything. So like anything from like creating contracts to signing NDAs and all that stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
And all of that, and then I just signed it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Kelly, what about you? I know you spoke a little bit about, you told us you're, pretty much working for somebody else and running their business and decided to go on your own.
Yeah, I mean, before that, I worked for a firm doing more multifamily projects. And then the recession hit, and then I went to a big architecture firm doing educational projects because there was only government work at the time. So I designed schools, dorms, I did UCSD, student housing, I designed the Career Technology Center at City College. So that one was really cool experience because there was a nursing school, there was a armory for the police, there was a beauty shop in it. And so I learned like the healthcare codes that you need to know for the nursing school. And then I applied that to get a job for a plastic surgery office when I was first starting out. So that was just really great experience to be brought into. And then from there, that's when I joined with my business partner.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
With the interesting that you say, because you came from a multi-family background. So did I. When I got out of school, I went right to work for a commercial firm. And this sounds so awful, but at the time, as a design student, residential.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said too.
Well, everybody does residential. I'm not going to be a I'm only going to do commercial.
Yeah.
It's so funny because after getting out of which I still do a bit of, it's commercial work, hospitality, I would say a better chunk of my business, I'd say 80 to 85% of my business is high-end residential, which I'm smart, but now I would never do.
Yeah. When I was in school, I never thought that I wanted to do residential interior design. Yeah, I thought the same thing, like where you pick paint colors and yeah. But that's what I think is nice about multifamily is that you're creating these luxury like communities, and so that has this hospitality aspect of it. You have like a leasing office, like a hotel lobby, you have a club room that has a kitchen. They like a lot of wow factors too, so that when all their clumps can like people are touring that they'll remember the space. So you can just be like really creative, and they typically have good budget. So it just is a fun like commercial projects.
As clients tend to understand contracts a bit better.
Yeah.
Well, and
Sure.
they're not texting you for the most part. They're not
Yeah.
texting at 8 p.m.
On a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're a little bit more constant to contract
Yeah.
work.
So speaking of the communication, and how do you create boundaries, or how do you tell the clients like when you're available? Like, what does that look like? Is it when you're onboarding them? Like, how do you do that?
It's all about in our contract that, about to be contacted on business hours, like core business hours. Occasionally we'll share our cell phone, but usually we don't. We usually never divulge our cell phone unless it's like an emergency or, an emergency. No,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
Sure. They're just, let's see how many times our phones vibrate.
Right.
This call and we'll be clients. Don't die.
Yeah. I think that it's hard because in the residential world, you get really close with your clients and you're designing their most intimate spaces. You're in their bedrooms and like knowing about like how they like to get dressed and the linear speed in their closet, but they like, like every brief detail about them. And so oftentimes I become great friends. I'm sure you guys too do too. So then when they're contacting you, it might be on a personal level or they're just reaching out. You're like, oh, I don't mind answering. But then you start doing this back and forth thing and it's on a weekend or it's, in the after hours. But I think it's case by case depending on the client, where I'll not start the precedent of responding to them and then respond to them the next business day.
Or if they text me, sometimes I'll put the answer or communication in the email the following day so obviously there's documentation with text, but it does help maintain a semblance of distance and professionalism to have it, dictated back to them in an email. But I'm probably one of the worst offenders of not setting boundaries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've become friends with some of my clients, and like Kelly mentioned, so many intimate details of their lives, and you're literally up in their business. So it can sometimes feel strange to not view them as such.
Right. Yeah. So
I think for the most part, the clients that I think we attract, and I'm sure maybe I'm speaking for all of us, being that it is high-end residential, I would like to believe that most of them do respect what we do because they're willing to pay quite a bit for what we do. On one hand, it's like a double-edged sword, but we are getting paid so much, therefore they own us.
Yeah.
Well, right. But on the other flip side of that, too, I'm sure is a bit of respect and appreciation.
Yeah.
And they try to let us do our job, not completely on our schedule.
Yeah. The hardest part, though, between texting and emailing is becoming fragmented with communication.
Right.
So that's something that becomes kind of
one festers.
oh gosh.
God.
And you're like looking on your phone and you're trying to use keywords to like find out where the text is because you can't remember the name or phone number because they're like someone new that you're working with, and it's just like,
we're just so much more accessible now.
Yeah.
Than we were before. We don't have a typical 9-to-5 office job, right? We're either on the job site. It's rare that I'm sitting at my desk on my laptop. I'm on a construction site. I'm not resourcing. I'm in a meeting with a client. I might be in a meeting with the sales rep, but every day looks so different. So with texting and email, we have our phones on us. We are much more accessible than, say, 10 years ago. So the way we communicate has changed dramatically. But yeah, that's probably my biggest pet peeve is being inundated with text with contractors.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a drawings that like staple to the forehead.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh. Speaking of that.
Yeah.
I had a floor that was supposed to be installed at a client's home. They had drawings all over the walls and it's all installed with one glitch.
It doesn't matter.
Because I wasn't there.
Yeah, you have to be right that they want clarification and we're just double checking. But sometimes it's just they don't want to look for the answer, even though it's on the wall.
So do you guys, since you're talking about not having them getting access to your cell phone, do you have a separate phone just for the business for them to?
We use Microsoft Teams, and so Teams rings to our cell phones. And then we can call out from our cell phones from Teams. So I can call clients on the road, but it will be coming from my work line. And then get messages anywhere too. And we set we set the hours too, so we won't get calls. It's only during business hours that you receive calls, and then if you're on vacation, you could turn it off or you can forward it.
That's amazing. So it's Microsoft Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
I love that. We have Go-To-Connect, which you can kind of do the same thing. But we're trying to migrate to a platform where we can communicate as a team and then communicate with our clients so that it's all kind of like separate and not in everyone's phone. So like, if you do have a releasing staff there, it's not like on their phone, it's actually somewhere where you can all find it.
Right. I know another designer that I was talking to mentioned Basecamp. Are you guys familiar with that or that program at all?
We use sometimes contractors use Basecamp for like project management and like submittal reviewing everything. But we use the Microsoft Teams platform for all of our like file sharing and communication, and then like the chatting through our team and notes. We just use that whole platform. Sometimes the project management softwares get like really clunky, and then it's another alert and then another thing that you put on your calendar, and it just integrated.
I've heard of some people using Slack.
Yeah, well, Slack, we're on Slack until we move to Teams because you can still chat on Teams.
There's Monday.
Oh, Monday.
Yeah.
Then a couple of our
What's the other one?
Monday.
it's like a project management app, but again, it's yet another location you have to go to. I want everything all on one location.
Yeah.
What do you use for like your invoicing and purchase orders and
Studio Designer.
We use Studio Designer for proposals, and then we use two softwares, so it's really annoying right now. And we use QuickBooks.
We use QuickBooks.
For accounting.
For accounting, yeah. So once a proposal goes out, then it becomes an order, but then it gets pushed through QuickBooks instead, and they don't talk to each other yet.
Yeah, it's always interesting to know what everyone is sort of doing and what programs they like, and if there
It's
is.
probably the most archaic. I use Microsoft Word and Excel.
Yeah, but you have James to help you like do all that. I'm curious, how many people do you guys have on your teams, just to kind of get a scope of like your leadership and what it takes to run your businesses?
So there's 4 of us. There used to be 6 of us at one point, which was great because a lot of stuff happened. But we're still managing on adding more staff.
What are their roles? That's fun.
So I have Camille. She's a senior designer, and then I have James, which you know what he does, and then there's me, and then there's Julia, and then we had Jake, and then we had Alex, and then
Were
we
they
also,
designers?
yeah, they were junior designers.
Okay. And with the junior designers, are they taking on projects and you're overseeing those things, or are they working under somebody else?
So they're basically they're more kind of like a graduated design assistant, where they don't really have their own projects. Everything filters through me. I'm trying to get to the point where someone is actually a designer and is taking on their own projects.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm just.
It's a lot. Yeah. And how many projects do you think you have at a time?
Right now we had 20.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
For 4 people.
Yeah, that's crazy. How about you, Kelly?
There's 6 of us, and so we have a studio director who does all of our accounting and purchasing and works with our account, and then we have 2 interior designers, and they also do project coordination, and then a senior designer, and then a brand director, and she, Juliana, and she does she leads our Studio H collection. So that's why I named it Studio H Design Group, because I want it to be a design group and not just Kelly Hinchman.
Got it.
So Nicole, our senior designer, she runs her own projects. I kick them off with the client typically, 'cause I am still the one that's like bringing in the business
Got it.
portion of it. But and then we like slowly fade me out, and then she runs with her own projects. My other colleagues, they start to do that too with some of the projects on when you get towards the end, because there's no way that I could be everywhere, and yeah.
So are there certain projects that you personally take it from the beginning all the way to the end? Do you have special
Yeah.
ones to do that
Yeah.
with?
Yeah, like the big ground up projects, the multifamily projects, those are the ones that I do. And then sometimes when clients are a little bit more like higher maintenance, but they're paying the higher maintenance price for that, then I'm on like the whole time. But I'm not doing like the project management of it all.
Got it. And do you give them, or like, how do you present that to them? Do you tell them that you can have me at this price, or you can have this designer, or do you not even tell them that and you just kind of take it on your own and you give them that structure?
So it's a mix. So we bill by the hour, and then we have a mix of rates. And so, yeah, in the beginning, they'll say if they want like just like they asked, like who's going to work with us. And I tell them like, Nicole's going to be, you're the lead designer on this. Like I'm going to definitely be involved in it. And then she'll be the lead. So I tell them who is, and we just have to figure that out for our schedule too.
Right. And then what about you, Michelle?
There are currently 3 of us. I'm of course, the principal senior designer. Juliet is interior designer. She will, I think, eventually become a senior designer. She's been my right-hand person for going on 4 years. She interned for me, and then she left to finish her 5th year at Cal Poly. She's actually a architectural graduate. I let her know that you'll have a position waiting for you when she comes back, and she did. So she's been employed by me for 4 years. And then we have another person who's part-time, who's more technical support with drawings, presentation, production. We're looking to hire a 4th person. I'm speaking with someone today. Hopefully, God, it works out, because we are getting our butts kicked right now. Projects. We have about 18 to 20 projects currently. Mix of sizes, but a handful of them are ground up, so are taking a lot of time. I am involved in all projects as far as I am aware of what's going on, the status of each project. Similar to what Kelly said, I will kick off the project with a client. We always do a kickoff meeting, whether it's with us, the design team, the client, the construction team, whatever consultants may be involved. And we'll communicate at the beginning who's going to be involved in the project. But being that we are a smaller staff, it only makes sense. I'm seeing everything that's going on. Now, would Juliet have a project by herself from beginning to end? No. But she will do a lot of the legwork under my guidance. The 4th person that we're hoping to hire would be a junior designer. So they would be the ones doing the running, right? Pulling materials and such, helping with drawing and design production, etc. We bill differently. We don't bill by the hour. We bill a fixed or flat fee.
Okay.
Well, it depends. There's a mix. So depending on the scope of work, I try not to vary too much and bill too many different ways. That gets confusing. So most of the time we bill a fixed fee. There are some hourly components under different phases. For instance, we might bill a fixed fee for design development, but then when it comes to contract administration, which sometimes is too hard to predict how much that would cost, because it's the line of the contractor, the neediness of the client, and then sometimes even when we get into FF&E purchasing, we'll oftentimes do that by the hour as well, with some markups and stuff in there. But all that said, we do have our rates for employee and our contracts up front. They're going to pay different rates for someone who's doing architecture support versus the principal, such as myself. But oftentimes with some of these hiring clients, they like to see the whole team. At the very least, they like to see the principal in the beginning and know that we're not just signing the contract and never seen again. And back to your point, it was interesting when I was working for another firm. Again, when I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's very easy to criticize when you don't see it behind the scenes. It became clear the longer I got into having my own business that really one of the main goals or one of the main tasks of the principal is to pull in the design work, right? So if you're working for a firm and you don't see the principal, pulling fabrics at 10 o'clock at night, it's because that person's role is really, it's a pipeline business. They're the ones that are meeting with clients and sending out proposals and getting, aligning projects down the road, and then relying on the support staff to execute the design underneath the principal's eye. So that was a bit of an eye-opener for me, the further into my own business that I got.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to talk about, that role that you guys play as CEOs and being the visionary and like what, if you can kind of, when you spoke a little bit about that, Michelle, maybe go in a little bit of detail with you, Kelly or Esteban, about what does that look like for you and how has that evolved and changed? And because I think that's so important, especially since you're the forefront, you're the face, you're the one that's kind of bringing all this together and you see like where you're going in 5-10 years, what's happening down the road that maybe the rest of the team might not kind of get. And I'm sure you probably tell them, and it's really important that everyone has that vision, but can you share that role with us and how that kind of develops?
Role of getting clients.
Like just being that visionary of being the one that's out there, like at the forefront and seeing where, everything's going. I don't know. I feel like there's something there that's, it's just that piece where maybe you're the support, like what Michelle was saying, was like an eye-opening thing, that not realizing like how much you actually are putting out there and you don't see all that stuff going on. And it's such an important role in the space.
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been a big risk taker, and I don't have a family and those sorts of things to support. So I've always put a lot of finances back into the business to build it into we're a small firm, but we have big corporate values as like a good pay structure and benefit plans and things like that. And I feel that I work for the company. I mean, I definitely have the vision of where I want it to be. And that's where I've hit these goals. As a little girl, I always wanted to do what I'm doing now. And then I always wanted to have my own furniture line. So then I just okay, now I have this business is going. I have a great team. We're all getting fed and it's great. So now let's just add on this other component. And then just I keep just pushing myself. So I definitely have a vision of where we're going and we're headed there. I think the company's structure is set up so in such an organized way that it was a thoughtful approach to now I just kind of work for the company too. And I have a really strong, incredible team. So we all have our own goals and it just filters through and it's just gotten to that good goal point, but definitely took a while to get there.
Yeah. Same what Kelly said.
Yeah. Awesome. Stephanie, I see you have your hand up. Do you want to just unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Just a quick question about sort of filling that pipeline, but also looking over the projects that are, going out and continuing that cycle. Do you find that it's difficult to sort of let up and let your staff and trust your staff to take things forward while you're bringing in things through the pipeline? Or how do you manage that? How does that work for you, for all of you?
Initially for me, it was really difficult because I felt the need to be involved in every single thing. So letting that go and hoping that it flourished was very difficult for me. I'm getting a lot better at it. And I have a really great staff, so everyone does what they're supposed to do. Yeah, everyone does what they're supposed to be doing. So I feel a lot of relief from that, but it's definitely always a challenge, especially when you have a difficult client that might require a little more attention and you may not want to talk to anyone else but you. So that becomes challenging for sure.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like hiring well. We do take a lot of time to hire. I think I'm good about releasing job roles, because if it's something that maybe you wouldn't have selected, but it's not horrible, then don't change it. Like, just let them run with it. And just, you have to give up some of that. You have to give up some of that control. You'll go crazy. And there's no way I want to be copied on every single email. That would make me absolutely nuts. But I do have friends that need to be copied on every single email that their team sends out, every single order. Here, do that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's no way.
Well, I don't read every single message that comes through. I might like just kind of take a quick look and be like, okay, it's being handled.
So you do require they copy you on every email?
Yes. Yes. And it establishes a record for me. Like, if for some reason they're out sick or they're decide that, they're gonna go on vacation or something, then I don't have to like figure out what's continuing with it. I could just quickly go into my Outlook and type some keywords and then we'll see all emails.
Yeah, well, I think has been a game changer that we implemented this year, I mean, it was end of last year, is we do work in progress updates for clients, so WIPs, and then we say what is outstanding on the client's end for decisions, and maybe there'll be some attachments of presentations or proposals that they need to do, and then what's on our task, what's on our board, and then like any sort of notes to come. So the team provides that, and if it's coming down to furniture ordering or furniture installation time, then we'll, in that WIP, we send out what's going to be delayed and that sort of thing. So I think that that's been a game changer of just being able, like, I can see that I'm always on, I could just like review that and I'll know like where the pulse is on the project.
We do the same thing, but we use Coven.
Okay.
But it's essentially,
Yeah.
You're just using
An email every week, yeah.
and the actual doc, your WIP, is being updated live, whatever software you use.
And do you guys like come together as a company like once a week, or do you have a scheduled in person?
Yeah, we have Monday meetings. We're kind of phasing out of a little bit phasing out of the Monday meetings, because like major meetings, we just do like big picture, because everyone's not working on everything. So then it just takes up so much time to go through, and then yeah, so
using those, and it does.
yeah. So we're just kind of phasing that out and then doing like one-on-one micro meetings. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Cool. Does anyone have questions for our designers?
I would just love to see or like hear more detail about the WIP document.
Yeah, so it's just a bullet pointed list of so if we have a presentation that we still need feedback on, we say, like open client, like open to the client, and then open for design team. And then sometimes then it's the like furniture processing, potentially, depending on where you're at in the project. And then sometimes it's what we need for the contractor. So we're making them like aware of that we're communicating with. But it's just like the pulse of the project. And I think that's really, it actually helps to limit the client emailing as much too, because it's all in that. And then they'll respond to the WIP instead of like, yeah.
So the WIP is shared between both, the contractor and the client and your internal team?
Not the contractor, but if there's key things about like the construction process, we'll put it in there, but then that will go in a separate meeting note. But if it's something that we need their eyes on, then we do put it in there.
Thank you.
All right. And then do you guys also send out an email to the clients at the end of the week, kind of just saying like what got done and what's in progress, or do you have anything set up for that?
No, I don't do standing end of week email. But again, it depends on where the progress or the project is at. There's like an accordion, sometimes all the tasks spread out and they come back together again. So depending on where we're at in the project, there might be a weekly email, right? And there's going to be times where there's a lull when you're ready for furniture to arrive. And emails probably take up a big chunk of my time. And I'm trying to control that because talking about the work, it's about actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And so as far as standing emails go to clients at the end of each week, no, it's really driven by what's going on.
It also depends on the client because we occasionally have clients that are very micromanaging, where they have to be in the trenches with you. So in order to quell any kind of trepidations that they might have, we'll essentially over communicate to them, and then they'll stop. Like they'll be like, "Oh, okay, it's all being handled."
Like I'm more of a need.
Yeah, not every client responds.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you're gonna need to know. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Jamie has a question.
Sorry if I missed it, but I wanted to know more about the Studio H collection. I tried Googling it and I didn't get it any good dirt. And sorry if I did miss it because I have to multitask.
Oh,
here.
no.
Yeah.
Well, it's launching the end of this month. Really.
Okay.
And we are designing and manufacturing furnishings and home decor products. So right now we have a stone line of home accessories. Yeah. And there's made to order furniture where you can specify there's 7 different stones. And then we also have prototyping that we're doing for case goods and upholstery goods.
Where are the goods made from, or where are they coming from, and that kind of thing?
We have the stone products are made in Mexico. And then we also have a pillow and throw line, and that's made in Belgium.
Very cool. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. And then on our website, we're going to have, we also have collected by Studio H. So then it's also some other products that we're pulling on the site.
Got it.
It's amazing.
Around. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. You can add your, on our website, you can add your name to the newsletter list. And then when we set out the launch, it's going to be more of a test launch just to our friends of the studio and clients at first. We're just testing it out, and then we have some reshooting to do too. It's been a big learning experience.
I'll be a tester. I'll click that.
You realize what you don't know.
That's amazing. And so will it be available to the public, to designers, or?
Yeah, so it's to the public, and then we offer a design trade program also.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then as we grow, we're gonna offer wholesale also.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then will the products be in your studio or be able to?
Yeah, we have some products here. We sold through a ton to our clients and projects, and then we have a huge shipment coming very soon. I think it's what's missing in the market too, because we're always looking for bathroom accessories.
Yeah.
Little containers and trays and bigger trays and vessels. Yeah. So we have really I think unique containers for that. We have a beautiful trash can, but it's also a planter, and our clients are loving it. We're putting it in all of their projects. And you're not offended if you don't want to use it. But they're also multifunctional. So the canisters that could be for Q-tips or makeup brushes, toothbrushes, they can also be a base. We have
Board.
stand, and then we have pedestals. And this is the tray. But
Yeah.
we don't have it too, but that planter it was for the ones that.
Very cool.
I love the sand.
And those really cool mirrors.
We also have mirrors that are we haven't done the mirrors for a while, and those we actually stocked the mirrors.
Yes. Oh my God. So rad. What?
What's Aaron said?
I love it. So we're coming to the end of the hour. Esteban and Michelle, do you guys have things that are coming up?
We worked on a brewery in East Village that's just opening up. It needs some finishing touches, but that was exciting for us.
What's that called?
East Village Brewing Company.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's across from Petco Park. The gentleman used to work for Ballast Point and have been planning the past several years to do their own space. And so it was a learning lesson for us. You know, it was a more modest budget. They're self-financing us. They didn't have a group of investors. So that was really challenging to create a space that doesn't look like every other brewery in town.
Yeah.
They approached us with their vintage spores, which of course were Edison bowls, reclaimed wood, check, right, brewery stuff. But they trusted us and were able to do something a little bit different. Yeah, all in all, we just have some really fantastic clients and projects that are coming up, and excited to get those out there and photographed.
So is the brewery open right now?
It is. It is.
Cool.
And I have a nice, I would say more than 2 handfuls of work that we're working on, that we're a few that are going to be publishable soon, hopefully.
Hey.
Mike gets out of their way. I will, and just a lot of ongoing clients that need things.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions before we let our panel go?
I have a question, and I hope it doesn't take the whole 4 minutes that we have left. But so I'm really focused on regenerative and like sustainable design. And so I was wondering, is that something you guys like value in your business? Is that something that you try to bake in to the cake?
It's not something that comes up a lot with our residential clients. That said, I'm not one to be wasteful, and it can be done in, you can implement some of those philosophies in subtle ways. It could be repurposing a piece of furniture that they have. I'm all about sourcing vintage and antiques. I love it. I think it creates a nice mix aesthetically. I wouldn't pretend to say I'm doing it to be sustainable necessarily, but that is a way that you can encourage the clients to stay away from the catalogs and add to cart items, right? They're hiring us, I would assume, to trade a custom mix, and by not using readily available or ubiquitous retail items and focusing on antiques, vintage, consignment is a way to do that. With that commercial job I mentioned earlier, that's very much a part of their brand and philosophy, to where there was no paper products they wanted to use in the brewery. So it's from their ordering system to the design to the materials they sourced to make the beer. That was a very important factor. So it was challenging if we did repurpose furniture and had to be clever with our sourcing. But for me personally, that's not been a huge request.
Same here.
Across the board.
Same here.
But that could be your niche. Right?
But the way that
out.
the way that we sneak it in, and I say sneak because clients require a lot of education whenever we're trying to do something different or something that is going to save the planet. No, what happens too is we the way that we sneak it in is we use reclaimed wood floors or products that are more for the foundation of the design, and then they see that as more approachable.
We're sourcing locally,
and so sourcing like something that's made here, and the way that we sell it is that we say that because it's here, we could check on it.
You're not paying any to go study at freight, and it's coming across the ocean. 6 months later, you'll get it,
And
right?
gas and sources, yeah.
We've really promoted using custom. I think sometimes clients, especially clients that are new to using a designer, may not. They hear custom and they automatically see dollar signs. Where there's several reasons to use custom. Obviously, it makes more unique looking project, but we can control, for the most part, control the process, hopefully. And because it is local, we help minimize the resources that are used to manufacture that product, whatever it may be, and place in the home. And with lead times being all over the place, using custom for the most part has been a lifesaver, because when you're using big box stores, etc., you have no control, and they're using freight
And there's all these supply chain problems.
right. So we try to circumvent that and help the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Everything's electric.
Nice. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing your expertise and your experience and all the other things that that you have for us. It was huge value, and I know that others will get so much out of this conversation. So
For having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
you've been listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. If it's one that you have been enjoying, please share with anyone else that you think can benefit from this knowledge, and leave us a 5-star review. That helps us get seen and found by other new and aspiring interior designers. And if you're looking for mentorship, I invite you to join our club here at the Design Coven. It's a bridge between school and real life interior design. We get in much deeper there. We have virtual and in-person events, so everyone is welcome. You don't need to have a design degree to be part of it, just an interest in holistic interior design. I also want to thank our editor, Marcy Ferry, and lastly, Kinseth Thibodeau, who is our music composer. Until next time, be well, and we will see each other soon.